This is the second video of the rational expressions, equations, and functions, adding and subtracting rationals, and this is lesson 3, the second video, lesson 3. So here's our solution to B, which you're supposed to do on your own. Remember, this lesson learning format will not work if you just start the video and copy the work down. The goal is for you to actually try it, so then when you have to do it on your own, you know how to do it. So you can see the final answer is negative 4x plus 3 over 5x, and don't forget to write your restriction, which is shown there. So we're going to go to a little harder problem because those are pretty elementary. So now we're going to have an actual expressions that we're going to add that do not have the same common denominator, and we're going to need to get a common denominator. So we're going to ensure that both fractions have a common denominator. So this fraction has x minus 3 as the denominator, and this fraction has x plus 5 as the denominator. So the least common denominator we need is a product of the two, what they share. Because then I could multiply this fraction by x plus 5 and get that denominator, the numerator and the denominator, and I can multiply this fraction, numerator and denominator, by x minus 3 and get that common denominator. So the first fraction needs a factor of x plus 5. That's what it's missing. So this one is missing x plus 5. So I'm going to write the first fraction. It's missing x plus 5, so I multiply top and bottom by x plus 5. Remember, this is equivalent to the number 1, so you haven't changed anything. X plus 5 over x plus 5 is 1. The second factor, denominator, needs a factor of x minus 3. So I'm going to write the second fraction, and I'm going to be multiplying the numerator and the denominator by x minus 3. Again, I have not changed anything because this is being multiplied by 1. So at this point, make sure you state the restrictions. X cannot be 3 or negative 5 because that's what would make the denominator 0. Add parentheses to your expression so that you remember that they are factors and they go together. Those terms go together. So once we have our common denominator, we're going to add or subtract the like terms in the numerator only, but keep the denominators in factored form. Do not waste your time expanding. So I am just going to work on the numerator. This is the way I do these things. I'm going to work on the numerator only. So I'm going to simplify the numerator, and then I'll put the denominator back in. So I'm going to distribute the 1 to both the x and the plus 5, so I get x plus 5. And then I'm distributing the 2 to both the x and the minus 3, so I get 2x minus 6. I add the like terms, and I get 3x minus 1. So that's what the numerator simplifies to. Now bring the denominator back in. Don't forget to bring the denominator back in. And this is what your final addition looks like. All right, you guys are going to do D, but I'm going to run through C really quick. So restrictions. X cannot be negative 4, and it can't be 2. So I'm going to take the first fraction, and I need to multiply it by x minus 2 to get a denominator, same denominator. I'm going to take the second fraction, and I'm going to multiply it by x plus 4, numerator and denominator. So the common denominator, the least common denominator, is x plus 4 times x minus 2. So working the numerator only, I'm going to simplify the numerator only, just right here, and then I'll bring the denominator back in. So I get 3, I'll just write it again so you guys can see that. This is the numerator only. I'm going to distribute first, 3x minus 6 plus 2x plus 8, and then I get 5x plus 2. And I can't factor anything out, so that's done. And then I bring the denominator back in. Remember, when you add fractions, you keep the common denominator, and the common denominator is x plus 4, x minus 2. There you go. All right, you're going to try D. On the next video, I will have the workings for D, and then we're going to get more complicated or a little more advanced.